Welcome, everybody. Let's see if we can adjust this a bit while we're waiting. Crack a beer, chill for a second, wait till we get some people on. So, happy hump day, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. Whatever time you're watching this, as always, thanks for watching Common Sense Fishing. So, we're just chilling. We're going to do a live stream about basically how to pattern the fish and catch fish when the temps are changing, the conditions are changing, or the fish move on you when you've been on them and they just seem to flip and you can't get them when you have good days and then all of a sudden you have bad days. So we're going to talk about those, how to adjust, and obviously too, if you fish a body of water more than once, you fish it a few times, you really can make a lot of adjustments based on your last trip. If you're fishing relatively, say you go a couple days back to back, or 1 week, and then the next week. So I've been at the Delta the last few weeks a couple times, and I got on a pretty decent crankbait bite. Couldn't find any big fish, but that changed when I got some like 4s and 5s, but nothing really big, right? And yesterday I went and had a pretty good day out there, and I lost a pretty good bass, nice one, a mini monster, so probably around 6 pounds or something, 6, 7 pounds. Really fat, nice bass. So I caught like one that was about 3.5, 4, and the guy with me caught one that was about 3, 3.5, and we got a bunch of 2s. We had a decent limit. Because of my last trip there, we went out there and we didn't do that good because we fished. Well, we did all right. We did good, but the trip wasn't like they normally are, where we get, lots of fish plus, 2s and 3s. Like, we struggled to catch fish over 2.5 pounds. And so I learned from that. And on the next trip out, we made some adjustments. And it was very obvious when I was like, well, duh, I should have been paying attention, fish the moment, fish the conditions. And I hadn't been paying attention because of my, going to work and just being so involved with, everything that's been going on in my life the last few. I haven't really been paying attention to the fishing patterns. I've just been doing the same old thing. Summertime, right? Repeat, rinse, and repeat. Top water, reaction, jigs. If you're bottom bouncing, maybe some drop shots. Otherwise, it's a moving game in the summertime. Power fishing. That's how you get the big ones. So the bite just all of a sudden seemed to flip. Just got bad all of a sudden. And what does that coincide with? It coincides with a massive temperature drop, going from 100-degree days, 99, 110, 105. All of a sudden, you had a 100 here, and then a bunch of 90s. Now, all of a sudden, we're in the 80s. And we're going to get back up into the hundreds for another day, maybe, or another weekend or two. Might even have some in the early September. But there's going to be, this is a time of year when, and it really happens when the nights start cooling off, you'll notice, is we're going to start having some fall kind of weather coming soon, where you're going to have some temp drops. It's going to be in the, comfortable mid 80s, 82, 85. And then you'll have a 95, 90, 99-degree day, or a few days, right? And so there's going to be some wild temp swings coming soon at the tail end of summer. And there'll also be a lot of wind coming. Late August and early September usually is a real windy time of year. So there's going to be specific ways you want to fish. So if you're out there and it's windy and it's hot, tear them up. I'd be using reaction spinner baits, crankbaits, and I'd be moving at a moderate speed most likely. But there's been, like I said, when you get a temp drop, so I want to kind of tie all this together. When you get a temp drop, just like in the wintertime, when you get a cold front, the bass almost always pull off, go deeper, or slow down. They become a little lethargic, or they just become, even if they're active, they just seem to shut down sometimes on a cold front. And that can happen in the summertime too. So you can be having some 95-degree days, and you're out throwing top water and crankbaiting and throwing jigs and maybe even drop shotting in the middle of the day, just depends on what's happening. But I would tend to keep that down and out of the boat right now, and I would be focusing on power fishing, top water, reaction, jerk baits, crankbaits, jigs for bottom bouncing, stuff like that. And cover water, find the fish because they're moving, so you just got to find where they're at. And also, this is, in the summertime, they can rat pack up and hang out over 100 feet of water. Hence, the Fish for Mason tournament, when Aaron Bettis was smashing them on LV 500s, and flutter spoons and stuff, over 150, 200 feet of water suspended about 50 feet, 30 to 50 feet down in the summer, and nobody could catch anything. Everyone was shore pounding just everywhere. Guys were smashing around. Check this point, check that point, check this cove, check that cove. They couldn't find a fish. When that happens, pull out. They're in coves, they're in cuts, they're in channel swings, they're in areas they can pin bait fish, and they're out. They'll be deep. So that's when you got to have graphs, or at least got to start trying to throw some blind casts out. But if you without a fish finder, those fish are very, very hard to catch and dial in. I mean, you can get them by luck more often than not, and you're not going to catch a lot. But if you can have a fish finder and find schools like that, you can tear them up. But anyways, what happens is when you get a temp swing, right? And this all ties in with the barometric pressure. So people talk about barometric pressure, right? And a way to simplify that is you hear the old timers and you see in certain magazines where they're talking about barometric pressure to fish's air bladder, and there's guys that swear by it, and there's old timers that have documented it too, and they're like, they record everything, and they know whenever the barometric pressure is rising or dropping in like a certain sweet spot, they know it's time to go fishing. And all that to me means is whenever the temperature is rising or falling at a certain speed, because barometric pressure, I think is it Charles's law or Boyle's law? Anyways, it's pressure and temperature correlate with gases, right? So if you have a higher pressure, you have a higher temperature. If you have a lower pressure, you have a lower temperature. It's an impossibility to reverse that without any kind of craziness going on. So, hence, if the barometric pressure is rising, so if you hear people talking about the barometric pressure rising, that simply means temperature. That means a hot front's coming in. It's going to get hotter, and the temperature is rising. The barometric pressure lowers, then that means there's a cold front, or that there's some cool air coming, and it's going to cool off, because the two coincide and correlate with each other. So you cannot have a high temperature without a high pressure. So a high pressure system is a high temperature system. Even though you can get them in the winter, it's a higher pressure, let's say, right? So a warm front in the winter. And then a low pressure system is a cold front. So those things, I think, really do impact the fish. To what degree, I don't, bass fishermen and scientists been arguing over it for a long time, and I don't really know where the science stands right now, as of right now, but I can tell you that my fishing intuition and skills tell me that definitely I believe barometric pressure, hence like systems, higher, low pressure, high and low temperature systems really affect these fish. So when the temperature is changing, it's very important that you adapt and change your presentation to match. So if the fish are still biting and doing whatever they were doing, and the temperature swings and changes and all that stuff, well then great, have fun, do it, go catch fish. But if you notice the bite get tougher, harder, you're catching less and less fish, that's because as the barometric pressure is either rising or lowering, these fish are doing different things. They're either getting more active and pulling shallow or doing whatever they're doing, or they're getting sluggish and they're congregating, or they're sitting down on the bottom, or they're doing what they're doing. And so if you can know this and figure this out, then you can really pick them off. You can still get them to bite. So on those brutal days, you just usually have to use things like a drop shot, finesse, or there's a great way to power fish. You just have to do it slow. So say you were using a square bill, getting active fish in 5 to 10 feet of water, and they're even coming up for it, and now you're not getting anything, maybe a few dinks. Now go to a medium or deep diver and step down, because if those fish, let's say you're pounding fish in 10 feet of water and it was 95 degrees outside, really, higher pressure system, fish are real active. And then you get this cold front comes in, it's 82, 83, and then 86 or something, right? You get a couple of cool days and you notice the bite switches. Pull off to that next depth range, 15 to 20 feet. And now if you want to catch the bigger fish, instead of just like drop shotting for numbers, throw your crankbaits or your swim baits, spinner baits, stuff like that, chatter baits, throw those down there in that depth range and retrieve them slowly. Because not only will the fish go lower and deeper usually, or settle down or move next to cover, what they'll do is they'll get real tight to cover too. So they won't roam as much usually in this kind of situation. And they will still hit a power, fishing lure like a crankbait or a spinnerbait or something. You just have to move it slowly in front of them, and you'll get some of the biggest fish to eat like that. So a lot of times if you're out there chucking and winding and it's real windy and you're throwing all the things you should be throwing, I'm throwing the spinnerbait, I'm throwing the jerk bait. They say throw this in the wind or throw the LV 500 in the wind. It's not working. Slow down. Roll it slower, because sometimes with wind is usually also the barometric pressure is dropping. The temperature usually drops because hot air comes in and it lifts, and then cold air comes in to take its place, right? So usually if you're getting wind, it's not when a temperature is rising, it's usually as the temperature is decreasing. Not always. You can get some nasty hot wind, but so those are some signs that, maybe you can rip it and burn it. Sometimes in the summertime specifically, I've used top water, just fast, just rip it, and the fish come up, bow, tear it up. 8.5 to 9.5. That's where you guys stand. Man, you guys should have waded in or should have waited, but you got to let it go. That sucks when you go fishing with no scale. I know all about that. Not making that mistake again. Nice to see you on tonight, RC Creative. Thanks for watching. So smash that like if you guys get a chance. But I'm talking about tonight, we're covering, how to fish temperature swings and how to adapt to the situation. So yeah, that's what I said. I said 7 to 9, right? I don't think that thing's much over 9. I want to say it's in the 8 range because I've seen a ton of 8s. 7s are really hard for me because they just seem to jump from 5 or 6 pounds to just 8. Like I've had a hard time guessing 7s because they'll look monstrous, but there's just something wrong with them. They're skinny, they're short, and then they're just not cool. As soon as it hits 8, that's a toad. And that thing was definitely a toad. So I'm like, I believe that was in the 8.5 to 8 3/4 range. I don't know if it'd break 9, but I believe it could have, because pictures are very, hard to tell. So like if you're not long arming it, if you don't have like measurements or like exact things to kind of get a really good measure of what that fish is, even then it's really hard to tell girth. You don't really get a good 3D version of a fish when watching it on a picture, but that's what our group's been known for lately, man. I tell you what, on Facebook, we got bass fishing lovers. That whole "how big do you think it is" post, we get those like, oh, it's hella funny. We get those all the time. And then everybody always, not really jumps, but softly ribs the people like, get a scale. Or people make dumb jokes like, or they'll dumb guesses like it's a giant, right? And how big do you think it is? Someone will say 2 pounds. Like, how's it going, everybody? Where is everybody? I know, right? It's crickets. I missed 2 weeks damn near, guys. In the last 2 weeks, I did Monday, and then I missed Wednesday, Friday, and then I did Monday, and then I missed Wednesday, Friday. That's my fault. I done lost half the people for a little short while because been so busy with heating and air, with the dog getting cancer, my aunt's dying of COVID. So it's like, always fun. And again, you guys probably know my feelings on that crap. I think that it's real, but I'm not as scared as everybody. My aunt's super heavy, heavy set. She's got lupus. She's not taking care of herself, and she could die any minute without COVID. So, I'm not going to, You know, I feel super bad. I hope she makes it. I supported my dad, so helped him. He drove all the way up to Nevada to go see her. So he's staying with her right now, and we're seeing how it's going to go. But yeah, crazy things been going on the last few weeks. Um, Super busy, but here I am, and I don't plan on trying to miss anything from here on out. And if I do, I'll really be able to make up to you guys, because as the summer's closing, coming to a close, so is my, I'm not being as busy with work. So I'm going to be doing a lot more fishing. We're going to be putting out a lot more content, hopefully try to get the channel growing more. We're kind of stagnant at about 1,500 subs. It's just real slow to grow. We're trying, but my own fault for not being consistent. You got to have consistency, keep everybody entertained and excited, and keep producing good stuff. But I appreciate everybody who's here. Smash that like button, and hopefully by the end of the night we'll get some more people on. So hang around and watch and listen. We're going to be talking about, like I said earlier, we're going to be talking about fishing transitions and temperature swings, and when the fish flip on you, and when the bite changes. I got a story to tell you guys. So it's going to be a fun night. We're going to have about a 2-hour show tonight. So I got on right around 7:10, maybe something like that. It was just a little bit late. I was in the backyard, watering all the garden, all the trees and all the stuff like back there. Usually my dad helps me with that when I'm doing the live streams, but I don't want the plants dying, or the fruit trees getting all withered up. Some of them still have fruit, like the grapes. A couple of the peach trees still have some peaches on them, but most of the fruit's already done. A couple apple trees still have apples on them, like a couple here and there. But the orange trees, the lemon trees, stuff like that, you guys like, damn, well, you got an orchard? Kind of, I guess. I got a big plot, big backyard, and I said, you know what, anything growing here better produce. I got 4 kids, so we had 5 in the house at that time. But it's like, so all the trees are fruit trees. We got grapevines and raspberries and all kinds of cool stuff. So Garden of Eden, green thumb, quite literally. How you doing? But yeah, so also I noticed, so at the California Delta, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be for a lot of places right now, the bite's been slowing down a little bit. Top water's been slowing down. It's been getting a little tougher. And what I did is I started throwing double Colorado blades. So with the bigger version of this, double, a big one and then a medium one or a smaller one, not a willow. So that's a willow. I've been throwing Colorado blade spinner baits, and hey, we hate. So I've been using Colorado spinner baits and slow rolling them and just smashing them now all of a sudden. And I'm still getting them on the crankbait. I'm just slow rolling them, and they're just smashing it. You just have to go slow. What happens is you get excited, you'll start catching a few fish, and then you start cranking and winding. Then 30 minutes might go by before you realize you're fast. You're reeling too fast. And I dumped one in the probably 5 to 6 range at the Delta on a crankbait, and on a Clout Wacky rigged. Nice. There you go. Yeah, you should see. Narcy sent me a picture. Dude had a mondo, big old bass. So right now the fishing should be slowing down in a lot of areas, and it'll pick back up. It's not by far done. It's just, if you guys haven't noticed, we got a lot of wind, temp drops. That's got cooler, so kind of like a little cold front. So the fish are just kind of settling down, just chilling for a bit. They'll kick right back up. We have another 9,500-degree weekend coming. When that happens, these fish should turn right back on. Top water should be on fire, and I would strongly recommend tossing those spinner baits. If you're at McClure, Pedro, New Maloney's, you might want to use the willows. But if you notice you're not getting good contact, you're not getting bit, and you don't feel a nice thump to it, then change it out, throw a Colorado. Just remember, a Colorado is going to have more drag, so it's going to want to ride higher in the water column. So you're going to want to reel that sucker a little bit slower to keep it down low. And I think the key right now is fishing in that 10 to 20 range, 25 feet range, and slow rolling crankbaits and spinner baits for the bigger fish. Oh yeah, dude. We had a 5-ton 3-phase compressor take a shit today, and there was only 2 left in NorCal for sale. Oh yeah, it's 90 here with the 100%. We're in a heat wave. Yeah, different areas going to be a little bit different for sure. So over here on the West Coast, fishing should be slowing down only because we had a little cold front, and that's specifically to this little micro area. The Central Valley, parts of Northern California too, I'm assuming. Just the fishing's still going to be good if you're adapting to the fish, right? But you'll notice if you were topwater fishing and power fishing in the last few weeks, you should have noticed a dip in the last few days. I believe there'll be another spike. That stuff's going to come right back. It's not cold at all. But when you have 105 and 103-degree days, and now you're in 85, that's a 20-degree temp difference. Those fish are going to feel that barometric pressure has dropped. So they're going to go and just relax, but they'll still come up and hit things. That's why you got to move them slow. You'll draw out the bigger fish with the reactionary bites. Now we're going to talk HVAC real quick with Curtis LeDuc, just here for a quick second. Hope you guys don't mind. Then we'll get right back into fishing. It's only going to take a brief moment. So yeah, depends. So you're talking 5-ton 3-phase. So a 3-phase is a commercial unit for sure. So I know you guys are talking about commercial, and commercial, I've noticed, man, they only come with a 1-year warranty. The units do, and it's like, I know guys, they install units, just boom, boom, boom all day, making big money, and they don't even really do much repair work. They're just constantly installing, and it's crazy how busy these guys are, and they're just pumping out units. But even the technicians are like installers. They're putting in VRF systems, big old branch box and branch selectors, running 150-foot line sets and stuff like that. So anyways, with commercial, my point was, when you have a 5-ton 3-phase unit and the compressor goes out, that unit could be 7 years old, 6 years old, out of warranty. Repairs are $3 or $4 grand. Just buy a new one for 10 grand, right? Or 12 grand or whatever it is. So boom, bam. And those are like the resermercials, you know what I mean? Where they just slap a new one on the old curb, and you get your little economizer, and there it goes. But I've been working in the Bay the last few weeks a lot, and like, man, the crazy shit they have over there with the variable frequency drive. We got a lot of that here in Merced too. On the 20-ton Lennox is up on top of like Best Buy, stuff like that. So anyways, when a 5-ton compressor goes, yeah, these guys are just replacing it. Residentially though, that compressor probably wouldn't have took a shit, and if it did, you'd be able to get one, hopefully. I mean, and the thing is like, so compressors are a whole different story, but right now I don't have any brand loyalty because of this shortage. Even if I was like a super train dealer or a super Lennox dealer, right? If I've got customers and it's 100 degrees or it's freezing out, whatever, they need heaters, they need air conditioners, and you cannot provide me with equipment, you can't fault me for going somewhere else. So you can call me a Ream dealer today, and then I'm a York dealer tomorrow, and I'm a Goodman dealer. I don't give a shit. I'm going to go and find whatever's available, and my customers get in heating and cooling. But that's on the residential side, right? Commercial is a whole different story. But I could talk to a customer and be like, you want to wait 2 months for a Lennox or a Train, or do you want to get a Goodman right now or within a few days? And I'll tell you right now, the most important thing about an air conditioner, I don't care, screw a brand, right? Screw the brand. What matters is if it's put in right. Is it hooked up to the right size electrical so that you don't blow fuses and pop breakers often because it's heating up real bad, because you got some idiots upsized the unit and didn't think to run a new circuit, right? Or ducting's too small, so the unit just poops on itself, blows variable speed motors every 3 to 5 years, right? Is it nitrogen brazed? Are you putting in a mini split? Are you, or like a VRF system? Are they triple evacing and nitrogen brazing? Because you get guys that super gung ho think they know the trade, and they have these big old hoses like, oh, me pull a vacuum super fast. Well, dumbass, if you pull a vacuum super fast, not you, but if you pull a vacuum super fast, you turn all the humidity in the lines, because all air has a little bit of humidity into it. So when you pull it into a vacuum, remember, pressure and temperature correlate. So low pressure instantaneously, really quick, means that you drop temperature really quick, and whatever air is left in there, because you did it so fast, it freezes instantly, and the inside of the pipes become all crystally with water, from the literally pulled right out of thin air, because you pulled too quick of a vacuum. That's why it's important to triple evac, especially when you're doing systems with 100-foot line sets. But residentially, that's why I always tell the customer, look, it's quality over, like, brand doesn't mean anything. It's all about how the unit's installed or what piece of equipment you're getting. I don't care if it's Lennox, Goodman, or Train. Are you getting 2-stage, single stage, or variable speed? So anyways, bam, we had our little HVAC conversation. We scared everybody off, but me and Curtis know what's up, right? So yeah, package units too, man. They're on a short decline. Like, you can't get them, you can't find them. There's shortages of package units everywhere. And then see how I'm little old me. I do split systems left and right, mini splits left and right, but I'm not messing with package units. I see your package unit goes out, I'm sending you to another company. Actually, I'm referring you to a friend. So yeah, I appreciate you guys, in and out. I know the either the reception might be bad, signal might not be the greatest, or got stuff going on. But for those of you guys, I appreciate everybody showing up, hanging out, dropping some words, and you know, trying to provide a nice, good live stream for you guys, and keep the ball rolling, and make sure that I'm just keep coming with good content. So again, I apologize for missing the last few weeks, but hey, I'm back. So um, like I said, I got a lot of different cool tips and tricks I'm going to be sharing. Also, like I said, I've got a lot of content I'll be putting out. I'm working on a bunch of videos. I'm doing a bunch of fishing trips because I got some free time now. So um, I'm still working and doing with stuff, but dealing with stuff. But like I said, a lot of cool stuff coming around the corner. So appreciate you guys. But it's kind of tough, sitting here with just a couple of people. I'm used to having 10, 12 people hanging out with us, and it's like I messed up by not being religiously on for like 2 weeks. I had a hard time consistently getting on, as I get home at 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm like, it's too late to do a live stream now. Or I'd be just wiped out, tired, or just couldn't make it most of the time. So anyways, enough excuses. So if you guys have questions, comments, feel free to drop them in the comment section there. If you're watching this afterwards and you're not watching it live, leave a comment if you would. Leave a like. And I always try to answer questions and get involved. So how's it going, Mark? No. Oh, no. Your boat engine took a crap on you? Do you have Oliver's number? Looks like it's almost a one-on-one with info. Yeah, that's the thing. I keep it real and I share all my information. So I try to give everybody the best tips and tricks that I can. I keep it real, and as the conditions change, I'll share them with you. Like, for example, it was a real big thing to notice that the fish were slowing down at the California Delta, and that I could crankbait, but I had to reel it slow. And as soon as I halved my speed, so however many cranks I'm doing, as soon as I slowed down, I started getting smashed. So anyways, yeah, have Oliver check it out, bro, because I think he's good. He's not going to take advantage of you, and he'll shoot you straight. And if it's bad, it's bad, but if it's not, it's not. So you can rest assured that I think he knows what he's doing. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, definitely. So Sorry you've had to deal with all that, but it's good to see you on, brother. Thanks for watching tonight. Super stoked, just to get back on and do my live streams. The damn dogs got cancer. My aunt's dying of COVID, and the world kicks you in the nuts sometimes, right? And I've been busy working and this and that and blah blah blah. But hey, I'm here now, so I'm very appreciative for all you guys that are here hanging out, and gals like Clara. So whenever we see her again, she's a member. Clara, Rika, Bo, we got a couple other lady watchers here. So big shout out to you gals. So, but thanks for hanging, guys and gals. So, anyways, let's like I said, if you guys, yeah, we got to stay positive, brother. Exactly. You know how it is. Sometimes I lose my shit, get all stressed out, but try not to take it out or get all on a rant. Try not to rant too much. So we'll go down some rabbit holes, but I usually try to keep it pretty level headed for the channel. But I've lost my shit before. Anyways, like I said, if you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to fire away. I appreciate it. I like to see the comments moving. So when you guys are commenting and engaging, it keeps me rolling. Otherwise, I'm basically going to default to like my stories, my tips, and what I'm going to help you guys with. All right. So if you're enjoying it, smash that like button. If you're ready for some more tips and tricks, I'm going to go over those again. Feel free to stop me, leave a comment if there's anything you want to discuss or you have any questions. So, like I said, one thing to really remember is dirty water, brackish water, brown water, water that's just not very clear. I would recommend a Colorado blade. And remember, with a Colorado blade, in order to get it deeper, you have to reel it slower anyways. It's going to have more drag. A willow, now this is a willow with a little Colorado, is a tandem, but a willow is going to sink a little quicker. It's going to have a little less drag, so you can reel it a little bit faster, but not by much. There just is a slight difference, and you'll feel it. You'll know what I'm talking about. But a willow blade is something that I highly recommend using in a place like, say, McClure, Don Pedro. And even then, sometimes I'm using a Colorado. Pay attention to the watercolor. So if the water's stained or brown, if it's summertime and there's a lot of ski boats smashing around and there seems to be like a mud line or dirt line, and then it gets a little clearer, fish that stuff with the spinnerbait. And I would go with a Colorado. If the water is very clear and we've not been in a drought year, and the water's high and crystal clear in summertime, then I'm going with the willow. And then again, spinner baits are really good in the wind. So, and also, like I said, summertime, you can catch them on almost anything, right? Especially like the Delta. But in other places, Pedro, McClure, New Maloney's, Tulic, all that stuff, there may be days where it's harder to catch them on some reaction stuff, where there's windows, right, where you can catch more. There's just places where there'll be a nice 1 or 2 fish set up that they're to ambush and just crack them, but you got to go across the lake and look for those nice spot on the spots, I like to call them, right? Otherwise, when you get in a school of fish or a grouping of them, summertime, they can be offshore, they can be out, a little bit, or they can be just scattered up on the shore. But anyways, like I said, we've been going through a little bit of a temp drop right now. So slow rolling deep diving cranks, medium diving cranks, and spinner baits has really been the ticket to kick out some decent fish. I lost a Mondo at the Delta, like I said, a 6 to 7, a baby giant, and landed a couple of 3s. And we had a great day out there, and I was able to capitalize. The trip before, me and Virgil went out there and struggled, but we had a great time. You guys are going to get a kick out of that video. We spent $200, or more like Virgil did. That dude's really awesome dude. But on food and drinks, man. So, and then the last trip, shoot, I can't go to Garlic Brothers without spending about at least $100. Like, I don't know. It's just, I love going there and hanging out for a couple hours and getting like a fish bowl, a couple margaritas or something, a couple beers or some shots, whatever, something like that. And then just like a couple, a nice appetizer and a nice big fat plate. And a little trick is go to Garlic Brothers after like 3 or 4, I think it is, and get their dinner. So I should have fished longer and then ate later, because what happens is dinner prices are like they're like the same price as lunch prices, but the plates double the size. So if you order a lunch plate, a shrimp rigatoni, it's going to come on a little plate bowl like this. You order a dinner one and it's like a big old one, and it's only like $1 more. So anyways, little tip or trick for you guys: restaurants have two menus, a lot of them. They'll have a lunch menu and they'll have a dinner menu, and the items and prices may be the same. But if you go during the lunch time and you order a dinner item, you may get punked on your serving size. And then if you go at dinner, it's going to be a much bigger serving size. So little trick I learned that I've seen some restaurants do. So take it from a fat guy. It works. Go get dinner, go when you eat like, if you're trying to eat lunch, eat a late one, so it's more like an early dinner, and you get hooked up. So anyways, yeah, slow rolling spinner baits and cranks has really been working. Out at the lakes, main lake points have really been where I've been catching my fish right now, again with deep diving cranks and drop shots. That's really been what I've been sticking them on. I haven't been fishing the lakes consistently, so they've been a little tough for me, but I get them all the time. We get fish. It's just not been like super numbers days yet, because I haven't really been on a given body of water for a while. Like last year around this time at McClure, me and my daughter got 130 fish in one day, just the two of us, and it was like her second time fishing. Literally, it was like her first time fishing for real. She had got a time before that. I had given her my pole and a drop shot, and like let her doodle around off a dock, and she got like a 3.5 pounder, like one fish one time, right? And then so this was literally like her first real trip out fishing, and she caught 30 all by herself, and I caught like 100. So I think we caught more than 130. I lost count around there. So it was insane. I know the video itself has over 50 or 60. It has like over 60 fish or more, probably 70 fish on it. But I mean, I didn't record every single one, especially when you catch some dinks like that. But we had a great time. And this year, McClure has not been good to us at all. Caught a double digit, right? Not this year. This year's been tough. Pedro, on the other hand, did good a lot earlier, but all the lakes have been a little bit tougher. Which one do I do? Oh, okay. Daniel, if you were watching my live stream, I could answer your HVAC question for you live. So if you have any heating and air conditioning questions, you can always post them my way. I've got a buddy here who went out to go look at his unit, and his thermostat took a poop. And so if you guys don't mind, really quick, I'm just going to send him a quick message and let him know what to do. RH and RC are the same. All right. So, okay. Thanks for watching, guys and gals. Smash that like if you get a chance here. But yeah, fall transition, temperature transitions. So if you've been, on a bottom bounce, on a slow roll bite, and then all of a sudden you can't seem to catch anything, and you're like, what the heck's going on? If you had a temperature increase, if you had a warming up, and we're not talking winter, we're talking right now, let's just say late summer, early fall, and we get a lot of these temp swings, and then you get wind, windy days, non-windy days, windy days, non-windy days. It can be really tough. So you guys just got to remember that if there's certain tropes, right, sayings about fishing that are generally true, but not always. So for example, in the wind, a spinner bait, a moving lure, a power fishing technique is really good. Jig can be one of the best bottom bouncings because it's so heavy and hard to feel the bite or see your line twitch. If it's real windy and you're throwing a drop shot or a Ned rig or something, you can miss a lot of fish. And again, like I said, if you were on a hot drop shot bite or jig bite or Ned rig bite or whatever, or slow rolling crankbaits and spinner baits, and now all of a sudden they're not touching that stuff, now try speeding up. Now try coming up to the next, get higher in the water column, maybe top water. Throw some, again, I like to stay reaction this time of year. So if it's calm, top water should still be good this time of year, especially when it's really hot. A lot of people think top water is best when it's cool. Top water is really, really good, obviously, in the early morning and in the late, when the sun is setting and when the sun is rising for a good window. And then it can be good smack dab in the middle of the day at some of the hottest periods of the day. Top water can be on fire from like 10, 11 o'clock to 2 or 3 o'clock sometimes. And then there'll be a few hours of window where it seems to get real tough or shut down. But you know what I mean? Pay attention to your conditions that you're fishing. If they're changing, if one day it was windy and you were tearing them up on the spinner bait and you get all gung-ho and you got your spinner bait and crankbait and you get out to the lake and it's not windy anymore, you might still be able to get them with that. But if you're not getting them with that, slow down, try something different, fish the gotta fish those changes. So as the temp increases, sometimes what you can do is pick up your speed, pick up your cadence, pick up what you're doing, go in a little bit shallower, go a little bit faster. And if you get a cool down, a little bit slower, a little bit deeper. So, and you can try, like I said, reactionary baits and just do those two things. So if the weather warms up, speed up a little bit, try going in the higher water column. And then if you get a cool down, slow down and go in a lower water column. And not always, but that's a good point to start. And then you base off what's going from there. And another little tip or trick is pay attention to the bite. The bite will tell you, yeah, I didn't really think that. I was always brainwashed to believe that topwater had to be morning and late afternoon, sunset and sundown. But my eyes have really been opened the last few years to how really good topwater can be in the middle of the day with no clouds, like blazing bright sun. Like, I think it helps the fish spot bait when it's just a clear water and it's not crazy windy and these fish are looking up and it's just super bright. That lure like stands out, like it contrasts really, really bad with that bright burning blue sky with that super sun just like beaming down, and you just got that thing up there moving around, right? So I think and their metabolism, the fish are just like, it's hot, they're going, the temperature really affects a fish up until a certain point. Then it gets too hot for a fish and it almost starts dying. It gets lethargic. It looks for deeper, colder water, more oxygen. But at a certain point, though, they just like turn on. As the water warms up, they're just going. So A-rigs, spinner baits, crankbaits, summertime is a great time to get out there and have some fun, cover water, learn some new lures, reaction fish. One of the problems, though, it can be so damn hot. Now, what I was trying to say, I wanted to finish, I think is really important, because you can have most of the puzzle but be missing part of it. And one of the most important things, I think, is pay attention to the bite. And what do I mean by that? So if you're bottom bouncing, you're jig fishing, you're drop shotting, whatever you're doing, even if you're crankbaiting, whatever you're doing, if you're getting bit hard and you're getting bit viciously, then you can do whatever that type of thing is. You can do more of it, bigger. You can play with that, and those fish are probably active, right? So my point is if the fish hit hard, that means the fish are in a very feeding mood, attitude, mode. They're active and they're aggressive. If the bite is soft, then the fish is taking its time to get to your lure, or the fish is sitting there and you're bringing your lure to it and it's barely getting it. And so to me, if a fish is hitting, so I could be out killing it on a crankbait and my bites could just be little taps, and then it might be a 5-pound bass. I could also be out with my crankbait and have my pole just boom and then set the hook, and then it's a 10-incher. because it just hit me like a freight train, right? So pay attention to the bite. If the bite is vicious and hard, then that means throw some top water, throw some crankbaits, throw some spinner baits, throw a swim bait, throw some big stuff, keep it moving, cover water, look for the big ones. The fish are active. That's a good sign. If you're getting bit, and even if it's reaction, does little or little, or you're just, even if it's a boom, boom, if it's not a good solid thump, like that fish didn't hit your lure moving, then that means that fish is moving slow. That fish is not, because even on a bottom bouncer, I've had fish hit me like a bat out of hell, where I throw a jig out or I throw a Texas rig or whatever. And then boom, oh shit, and it just tanks you and just hits you. Wow. That's a sign the fish are more active. So if you're bottom bouncing and you're not catching a lot of fish, and then you happen to there's a couple signs that I can teach you, I think, that maybe you guys already know, but they're really important to look for that can key you in on what's going on. And besides how hard or soft the bite is, when does the bite come? So if you're taking a crankbait and you're getting the bite in the first few seconds of reeling, there's probably active fish really moving around top water or higher part of the column of water, because you're not letting that lure get down. Nothing has to see it and then come chase it. So there's probably a lot of fish there, or they're moving, and top water might work, and keep doing what you're doing if you're getting bit, right? But if you get bit really hard, like I said, that tells you that active. If you get it soft, that tells you more of a lethargic, slower, and you could still power fish. It just means real slower or deeper, right? So another thing is, usually if the bite is softer and it's not spawn or anything, then the fish are probably deeper too, or suspended, and they're just, your lure's coming by and they're just getting it. Versus when you get hit hard, that's usually a fish that's moving, shallower, looking for bait, right? Not always, but in general, that's how it can be. And I've been slammed out deep and suspended, all that crap. And I've been ticked right up shallow, but there just seems to be these rules of thumb. Now, where I was going with this too is another really important tip or trick, I think, is check out Bass Union new double clack bait. All right, we'll get to, so hold on, sorry about that. But one tip I think is super important is pay attention to when you get the bite. So especially for bottom bouncing. So let me reiterate. So if you cast your lure and you seem to have a struggling day, or you're not getting a lot of bites, but when you do get bit, you're noticing you're getting bit right as soon as your lure hits the bottom, or within 10 seconds of you moving your lure and doing some action to it, then those fish are more than likely suspended. They are not on the bottom, but they may be close to it, and they seen your lure go down through them or near them and went to check it out and ate your lure or bit it as it was falling, right? So that tells you maybe you should try throwing some crankbait, spinner baits, top water. You need to probably throw some different lures. Especially if you're not getting a lot of fish, but you did get bit, right? And you notice, man, it's weird. I've been fishing 4 hours and I've only got 2 fish, and both of them came within a few seconds of my lure hitting the bottom. Those fish weren't on the bottom. They were suspended and they followed your lure down. Now, same scenario, and you're casting out and you're working your lure and you're working your lure and you're working your lure, and 2 minutes halfway through you get bit and you're bottom bouncing. That fish was on the bottom. That fish was holed up against something, and you brought your lure to it most likely, and it, hit. And there could be more down there. When they're like that, they'll stack up and congregate. Usually where you'll find one, you'll find more. Don't leave fish to find fish unless you're not on the right quality fish, right? So it's very important to know where you got bit. And then another one is, have you ever got bit when you started to reel in your lure? So you're bottom bouncing, you work the little zone that you wanted to, but the lure's still halfway out. You start reeling it, and then boom, you get bit. Throw a crankbait, throw a spinner bait, change your stuff, right? Now, and the same thing with a crankbait or a spinner bait. If you're noticing you're getting bit, so you take a spinner bait and you cast it out and you're getting bit right away, great, keep doing that. But if you're getting bit, there's a couple of tactics. I'll let a spinnerbait sink to the bottom and then I'll slow roll it. So if you're not getting a ton of fish, but you notice the few that you did get, you're getting it real deep and it bit, maybe a jig is probably the best bet to go instead of your spinnerbait. But it just depends on, are you catching the right fish too. So same thing with the crankbait. When you're using a crankbait, it kind of has like a max depth dive where you'll cast it out, and then for the first so many feet, it hasn't hit its max depth. So it's still in that upper water column starting to come down. So if you get bit right away, then maybe top water, they're in the upper column. Or if you casted shallower, right, they're right there. But if you're bringing it in and you're halfway to the boat when you got bit, it could have been a follower, or it could have been something that was staged out there and it seen your lure and it came up at it and it hit it. That's also why it's important to pay attention to the bite. If you got rammed, a lot of the time that's an opportunity, fight or flight, where the fish is chilling, lure goes by, and it's like, should I eat it or not eat it? Bam, I'm going to eat it, right? Versus like when a fish is studying it and following it. Oh, what is this? Oh, and then they bite it, right? Have you ever seen like tactical bass and underwater footage? When a bass is looking at a lure that picks it up, it doesn't slam it. Versus if you see a bass coming in hot at a lure, like it knows it wants to eat it. So that tells you a lot about the bass's behavior, which can tell you a lot about what you should be doing if you haven't been successful. I know that's long-winded, but I hope that makes sense. What do you guys think? So smash that like button. It's trying to give you guys some real in-depth tips and tricks for fishing temp changes, temp swings, and condition changes. Try to be open and receptive. And it's really hard to do that sometimes without like jumping the shark, or just where you're just like throwing a lure 10 casts and then throwing another lure 10 casts. You're kind of trash fishing. You need to give some lures their fair shakes, and you need to fish them in different areas. So if you threw a crankbait for an hour and they're not hitting this, well, did you just like use it only on main lake points? Did you try finding any coves or cuts or flats? Did you try running it along any deep like drop offs, or did you find big rock or trees? Did you try it in different structure and cover, or did you try the another thing is this seems to really sometimes really play a role, is sometimes I'll notice if I'm in a creek arm or a channel, there may be one side of that thing stacked with fish and they both have the same kind of contour or cover, and then the other side's barren. So what side's getting the sun, what side's getting the shade? Another thing is the sun rises on one side, sets on another. So certain rocks and shorelines will get sun for more hours, while other rocks and shoreline will only get them for a smaller period of time. And so some days they don't want that hot rock. They want to be over on the cooler side. Sometimes they're basking in that, hot stuff. So if you're fishing in something that just looks juicy and man, there should be some fish here, and go to the other shoreline if it's not too far across. Try each side, because sometimes something as simple as that puts you on a massive school of fish. And it's like, reminds me of the meme, or the old joke where there's like a miner and he's dug all these holes everywhere, and it's like, it looks like a tree almost upside down with all these lines, and he's at the very bottom and he's dug this way, he's dug that way, and he's just like disheveled and giving up. He's like, skinny. He's like, his clothes are, he's just sweating and he's pissed off. And he's like walking back away, like with his, like this. And then you look, and right on the other side of where he stopped was all the gold and jewels, right? And sometimes it can be like that. It can feel like that if you're trash fishing or you're throwing too much different stuff. So that's why it's important to dedicate yourself and give enough time to a specific lure and try it in a specific different ways. So when I say like, did you throw the crankbait? Okay, well, like, did that mean did you just throw the crankbait, or did you throw a shallow diver, medium, and deep diver? Did you try it running fast? Did you try it running slow? As I guarantee you, almost on any lure you can catch fish. The key is just figuring out the depth and the speed. And there will be lures that outperform others, but those are, in my opinion, the two main factors: is are they wanting a shallow, deep, suspended, or do they want it fast or slow? They want it big or small, they want it dark or light. This is some of the biggest, most important things to figure out. And then from there, you can dial the nuances in. Do they want the tiger? Do they want the, what is it, fire tiger, or do they want white and chartreuse? Whatever. Then you have fun. But all right, let's answer some questions. So this is crazy how midday topwater is so good. Yep. Check out Bass Union new double clack buzz bait. Yeah, double buzzes are awesome, especially over water that has like weeds and stuff in it that's barely under the surface or just at the surface. You can cause a lot of commotion and, not get your stuff all tangled up because there's no treble hooks like, say, a whopper plopper. And the difference between that and a frog is a frog's a little more finesse. Well, buzzbait is just causing a ton of noise. So that's what makes Cinco so powerful. Cincos are just, they rely on, from what I remember too, is this is an old school bass tip right here. And this one I found to be somewhat true. But this is old timer stuff, and it's specifically good for lakes like McClure, Shasta, Pedro, any deep, clear water, colder lake, or just lake that's like, when there's like, let's put it this way, a lot of smaller spotted bass, smaller largemouth. Check this out. So when those monsters, those little boogers are tearing up schools of shad, you'll notice there's not usually 10-pounders in there tearing up the school of shad. You'll see a school of shad, and there might be a 20 bass chasing them around, smashing them up or more. And they're all 1 to 3 pounders. Where are the big ones at, mind you? Well, this is the old school saying. The smart, bigger bass would actually hang out and just sit there underneath schools of bait fish, while the smaller, aggressive fish would go through and tear through them and eat a bunch of them. And all the injured and dying bait fish would fall down. And the big bass would be down there like catfish, bloop, bloop, just sucking them up as they fall, real slow. So I was always told one of the biggest little tips when you can find a school like that, drop through them and get down to the bottom, and then yo-yo an LV 500 or a Cinco. That was one of the Cinco's biggest. It's slow sink down. Oh, the monster can't say no to that, so they're gonna smash it if they get a chance. But yeah, it's still summertime, it's still hot, but when you get these windy, again, late August and early September in the Central Valley is almost always windy, and there's almost always wild temp swings in late August and September. Doesn't usually get cold or rainy until October if it's going to. There's times where it hasn't even rained until like March or February when we get those drought years. We get a few sprinkles in September or October, a sprinkle in December, a shower here or there, and then nothing but just bluebird skies and it's kind of warm, or bluebird skies and it's freezing, right? And then we get into the rain comes in right before, and then boom, drought year, right? Because you only got so much, you didn't get enough snow melt. So sucks. But when that happens, these fisheries can just be real. It's real crazy how McClure or Pedro will be on fire for a few years and then just seem to suck for a few years, and then they'll be on fire for a few years. They seem to like go through these cycles, and they really seem to coincide with the El Nino, La Nina, with the dry season, wet seasons. So I'm hoping we get a nice wet winter this year, and we get some full lakes so those bass are up, checking all that new water out. And then another tip is I'm trying to give as much as I can out. So this one is a legit fishing video tonight, folks. I'm trying to help. If you guys have questions, anything you guys want to chat about, feel free. And any rabbit holes too. I'm more than happy to talk about other stuff. But I really want to make sure I'm coming to you guys prepared to give some good fishing advice and at least fishing reports, stuff like that. So, where was I going with this? I was wanting to give a tip, but there's so many stuff. It's like, I could just spout them, but I mean, I want them to be pertinent to this time of year. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, well, burnout. But anyways, thank you guys and gals for watching, hanging out with me tonight. I'm going to try to make sure we don't miss these anymore and that I'm here for you guys. So Friday, going to be here, going to have a something planned for you guys. Remember members giveaway. We had last time Charles Chalk won that one. So we're going to be doing another one coming up in September for you guys. And also December. Don't forget, December, I've got a special Christmas plan for all my members. So I've got something just for you guys and gals. So big thank you. And to all my regular subscribers, viewers, and if you're not subscribed, hopefully if you're sitting there watching and listening, I've earned your subscription, and, hit that little red button, and, I'd be glad to have you as part of the team here, so to speak. I think of this as a family almost. It's a fishing community. A lot of people are on the same faces we see every night. Occasionally we get a few new people, or we get a few returning people who are real old that, haven't been on in a minute. But it's a cool little community, and I'd like to say a big shout out and thank you guys. So if you're outside of that community looking in, I'd like to say welcome, come on in. We have memberships where we do, giveaways every month for you guys. I try to make content, always early releases for you guys. So, but other than that, I really wanted to make sure I got as much as my fall. It's not really fall yet, but when it starts that late summer, early fall, because the nights are cooling off now. The fish can tell that. So there's a change coming in them. And, thanks for getting on tonight and hanging out, Curtis. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your engagement. That's one thing that really keeps me going is even I try not to look at how many people are on, because I want to make sure that I'm just doing me and doing a good job regardless. There could be 30 people on right now, and I would probably know because we would be seeing more comments, or we could only have 2 people. But if I look up there and I start seeing 1 or 2 people or 3 or 4, you can kind of get a little depressed or like, oh, dang it. And I did it to myself by not being consistently on. But we're going to try to get back up to our numbers, 10, 15, 20 people, a night if we can. We usually, by the end of the night, after a 2-hour, we've had 100, 200 views. But, some people will watch for 10 or 15 minutes. Some people hang out for most of the night. So, it's a mixed bag, but oh man, you know exactly how I feel, brother. This is my escape too from like craziness. I get to just come in here and rant and talk to you guys, and it's like this, guys and gals. It's a cool community, and I just feel like I'm able to relax in here. I'm able to relax around my family and stuff like that too. But this is a cool like little routine that it's become, and I like doing it. I don't like missing them. I get all stressed out or mad, like damn it. I want to make sure I'm doing right by you guys. But really too, I want to make sure I'm putting out valid, good fishing content every week too. A couple videos. So I got a couple whiteboard videos I've been needing to break down. But I've just been like, really, I think I need to do a better version, because I gave so much information out. I think I really need to hone it down to so many topics and then really get deep on those topics maybe, but not necessarily try to like Einstein all of fishing. I went on like a 2-hour rant, and it's like, because I was making some whiteboard videos, I don't know how to break it down. because sometimes I get over the place where I'll tie something in earlier that I was talking with about 10 minutes later because I forgot and I go off on a tangent. I was like, why was I even talking about this? Oh yeah. And then, so, but yeah, I think I'm going to have a couple more whiteboard videos out, but I've got some cool Delta trips. So I'm working on editing those now. We'll get those out to you guys soon. There should be a video for members. You guys should have early access to the one that's all the crazy stuff that happens on my channel. It's like 12 minutes long. I think I'm going to redo that video. I think I'm going to leave that one members only or end up deleting it. And with that original source file, I think I'm going to also put in some more memorable moments, like where the kid gets his pole stolen out of the fishing boat. I'll put, maybe like my dad or my kid catching a fish. I don't know. Like, it has to be important. So like the pole flying out of the boat, or funny, or like viral, right? So the pole flying out of the boat was pretty funny. Jeremy falling into the water, that one was real funny. So I don't know if I don't want it to necessarily be a funny video. So I don't know. I might make some changes to it. We'll see. I've got a lot of footage and stuff I've got to go through because I kind of put that together quickly. But it was cool. I did basically like the top 5 or 6 weird things that we've seen on the channel so far. And it was me kicking the door in when the house was burning and on fire. And I went in and got like a cat out, a couple cats, and then I got the neighbors out. You don't see all that. You see the aftermath when the house is burning down and I'm all like out of breath and I'm talking with the dude that I got out of the other house. There's that video, the raccoon video, the Delta dude where we saved him in the boat. Then there was the guys at McClure that we saved that were sinking and out of gas. And the Christmas broken down, like 1 minute of each video with all these cool moments. So it's like a 12-minute long video or something. Oh, and the fire, the helicopter coming and sucking water out of the lake in front of us to go put out a fire. So been fortunate to see some fun stuff this year. Oh yeah, that's what I try to do. Local fishing report. I want to make my stuff relative enough to the other guys on the East Coast and down south. Try to focus on how I can grow the channel and get more audience. But I'm happy with what it is and what's going on. I don't do this. I don't get. I make like $80 a month or something. So it's not like I do this to get paid. But it would be cool if within 10 years or 5 years of doing this religiously, like to have like a cool actual business set up where like I'm got merchandise, heck, maybe my own like gear, some sponsors or something. And I do like reports and fishing and heck, man, I'd be like, if you guys remember Fishburne, I'd be like a fishing comedian though. I'd be like the Red of fishing, I'm my own special, unique me. Damn it, nobody's doing me but me. Mike, nice to see you. Hello. Thanks for jumping on tonight. So I try to give out, if you guys get a chance, go watch this from the beginning afterwards. I think I gave out some pretty good fishing tips and tricks. Most of you guys might know some of it or most of it, might not know, some of it. But I tried to be as relative as I can with, especially right now in the Central Valley in California. And if you're in other places, this is particular to you too, but you just may not be going through it right now, is when you get these temp rises and temp drops, when you get wind, especially if you get any fresh water coming in, water gets dirtied up. Another thing to consider is the party boats that disturb the soil and what you can do in those situations and conditions. Remember, darker colors and more flash and movement in dirtier water. And try to fish also if there's some dirty water and there's a little bit cleaner water and you can see that stain line. The fish use that just like they will structure, because they know they can see the contrast, the difference in light. It's dark here and it's light there. They'll hang out where they can see into the light, but you can't see into the dark. Kind of like you ever seen some of the old window screens and door screens. You walk up to a house and the door is open, but you can't see inside of it. And you go to knock and someone's like, hello. And you're like, oh, shoot. Because in there, they can see you plain as day walking up, but you can't see in. That's the same kind of principle, right? You can't see into the cloud, but the fish is chilling and it can see out into the water because it's just in there enough at that line between the dirty water and the clear water. And they'll use that. And they'll usually be big fish that do that. Not a lot of fish, not numbers, but you'll see like one particular boulder, rock, or tree, or point, or stars, and a little dirt edge. And Mondos will be sitting there watching into the clearer water. So, for what it's worth, hopefully these tips and tricks help out. Also, one other really important tip is jerk baits along the side of houseboats. Those are a big go-to in the summer, but especially right now, as the nights start cooling down, sometimes there's still people in their houseboats. You still have activity. You have noises and things that may scare the fish away. However, there's less party goers. Hey, Racho, welcome to the membership, and thanks for joining. So let's everybody give a big welcome to our new member tonight, Racho Bunch. Thanks for becoming a member, and don't forget, get yourself in on next month's giveaway. And this Christmas, so we're going to do it December, and I'm going to do it closer to Christmas. All of my members are going to get a very special gift from Common Sense Fishing, and it's not going to be cheap too. You guys are going to like this. So I've got something really big planned, and it's just for you guys. So to you members, thank you guys so much. You guys are what make me keep doing this live stream and stuff like that. I like hanging out with you guys, and we got a pretty cool bunch here. So big shout out to Racho and everybody else. Thank you guys for being part of the club, so to speak. And with that being said, if I could also recommend, if you're looking for a spot to fish right now, the Delta is outproducing almost all the lakes. I can tell you right now, I do not want to blow this lake up. Ryan Cook's a cool dude. He's a good guide, and he knows what he's doing. He's been tearing them up out there at that lake. Tulik is where he's been at, and I've been out of respect for him, and also just like because of the size of the lake, I don't want to go tear that lake up on video and blow it up. But for those of you members and people hanging out, I know a lot of people aren't going to see this, so if you get a chance, get to Tulik and fish before the season changes and the fish switch. So top water, jigs, maybe drop shot, even if you have to. Get upstream, go up where the river comes in, and then start working your way back from there. But get all the way up as far as you can, and then what up, James David Ram Ranch? I almost bought a Dodge Ram just so I could say I have a Dodge Ram Ranch. The power of marketing, brother. Bro, what happened to your beard? You want to know a true story, man? I got attacked by a beaver. No, I got tired of smelling my damn breath. I'll be very honest. I'm not buzzed or Drew's first beer, but you get this big ass beard, not clean it, not take good care of it. God damn it. I swear though, just any food or you get spit in there or something, an hour or two later, what the hell is that smell? Or you know what I mean? Or just tired of eating my beard when I go to eat something. And I'd try to trim it really nice, and I'd still like, fark you, beard. Yep, hazy again. Oh yeah, exactly. I had to be smooth for the beaver. I didn't know it should scratchy. Itchy and scratchy show. Yep, Curtis, you got it. You want to know a secret though? These are two that are left over from the last 6-pack. Oh man, I've been working too hard. I had to go to bed at like 8 o'clock last night. I had to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I got to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning again tomorrow. I got to drive out to Berkeley. I'm putting a VRF in. I'm putting a very fancy, like $200,000 air conditioner in. for Citibank. And the funny thing is if I went to go do the job, no. But the thing is, I'm working with another company, and they're a good company, good dude. So I'm picking up a lot of experience, but it's crazy. Like I'm, out there doing this. Like I do residential. That's my business. I own my own business. But when I don't get a lot of calls or I don't have a lot of work coming in, Buff helps me out and basically sends me HVAC work. And because he does commercial, we don't butt heads because we're not competitors at all. And I have zero desire to try to get into the commercial market. So I basically go put work in for him, get paid. It's a win-win. And he has a very high level employee basically that he has on call or when I'm available. So works out. So anyways, I haven't been able to I had to be pretty responsible. I don't drink and drive, and I don't like working with a hangover. So a couple beers, I'm good. Especially when you got Casper the Friendly Ghost, man. That dude, a couple of Caspers and beers, and your next thing you know, you're La La Land. But how's the connection, everybody? I don't know if it's been good or not, or I know last couple times I've had some connection issues. So making sure that hopefully that's not why we're in and out of numbers, because I'll see it go up and then down, up and then down. But I try not to look at them. Like I said, I just want to me and you guys. That's how I do, I think, a better job. I present better information, and I think I communicate with you guys better when I'm looking you in the eye, when I'm looking at the camera. And then the comments is like where you guys are right there, right? My webcam and the comments are right here. Now I have to look track my eyes. I have to look all the way here to see my like count and my viewer count. And so when I see that, I get all sad, like, not really, but you know what I mean? It's like, I know I missed a couple of weeks, so I got to make it up, so a couple of weeks more of me being religiously on, 6 or 7 to 9 p.m. And hopefully we'll have most of the old crew back and hanging out, and hopefully we'll have some new ones. Also, for those of you guys and gals, if you do get a chance, share the videos or go in maybe and check out my channel and share some of my better videos, maybe. Never know, on your Facebook page or something like that, Instagram might help the channel grow a little bit. So you're out. I'm out. 4:30 will be here soon. Oh yeah, Curtis, you do the same thing I do. Do you got to go to the Bay Area tomorrow? I know a lot of you guys I see working like I think Modesto, and I've seen you guys towards the Bay Area too. So thanks for joining, Curtis. I got to be up at like 3, so I got to leave the house here at 4. So I know exactly what you're saying. I got to get up at 3 so that I can leave by 4 to get to the job site by 6 in Berkeley. So I'll be in Berkeley tomorrow. And goodness, I've been in the Bay Area without a mask now for the last like couple weeks, and it's hilarious. Like, I'm stubborn as hell. So like people like still sell me shit because they want my money, but it's like you get the stink eye sometimes. Like, I don't have a mask, man, because where I'm at, if you're vaccinated, you don't need it. And I caught the virus last year, so I'm technically vaccinated in my mind. Shit. I spent a whole day with somebody who had the virus a couple weeks ago and didn't catch it, or if I did, right? I mean, I didn't get it. He told me, and he was like, "Oh, I tested positive," so I had to kind of like, I didn't really super quarantine, but had to kind of chill to see if I got sick. And like I said, I got it. I got sick about a year ago. I got really sick bad. And I know I got that shit. So like I got immunities to it. I haven't got sick since. So I've been fine. I hope, knock on wood. I could be a fool. Who knows? I do not want to give medical advice. I'm not giving nobody. So, working 20 minutes from home. Lucky you, dude. But I know how it is. So you got to be up at 4:30 to be at the job site, but like 6 here, 5 or 6 here sometimes. Because I know how it is. Usually commercial, you start like 6 or 7. Right when the building site opens up. Or if you're doing install, usually install starts around 6 or 7. You don't want to be in attics and on roofs when it's all blazing hot. So you'd like to get a good early start on things. Then if you need supplies, you can still hit the supply house. So, all right. So, Curtis, if we're going to lose you for the night, thank you for being on the channel and chatting with us, and everybody else, thanks for hanging out. But I try, like I said, I try to give as many tips and tricks as I can. So, kind of what would you say, a synopsis, so to speak, of tonight's video is basically, remember that temperature and pressure correlate. So high pressure, high temperature, low pressure, low temperature. What they talk about, the barometric pressure, the fish, right? And so whenever you get a cold front or a warm front, whenever you get a system moving in where you're going to have a weather change, and you're going from cold days to warm days or from hot days to cold days, you will get a change in fishing behavior. Look for it. It may start before the temperature change or right around the same time. And look for it, meaning that if you've been getting them one way, you're probably going to need to start getting them a different. You may be able to use the same tactic or technique, but for example, if you've been fishing in a cold stunt, you've had a week or two where it's in the 80s, and now all of a sudden you're going to have a week in the hundreds, you may want to drop the drop shot and the jigs and all that and pick up the crankbait and the top water and the other stuff, and start going to town with that, because the fishing activity is going to most likely pick up. Their metabolism is going to pick up. It just all depends. There's a lot of factors, oxygen, there's water temp. There's a lot to it, but in general, that's kind of the idea. Is that if it warms up, you move up. If it gets cold, then you slow down and pull off. At least in this time of year, and in most times of year, you can see if you get a cold front. That's all. A lot of the time, a big sign that what you need to do is you need to fish either deeper and or slower, and or both deeper and slower. And like I said, if you get a warm front come in, maybe you can fish top water. Maybe you can fish a little bit shallower. Maybe you can fish a little bit faster. That doesn't mean necessarily you just run around and crankbait now because it's warm. What I mean by that is you may have had to drop shot for your fish, and now you may, if you get a warm up, you may be able to jig for them, or you may be able to use a Texas rig, or you may be able to drop shot but be able to get more fish and get bit quicker and jiggle it and wiggle it more, versus maybe your bite was a dead stick. But you will notice a change in the fish's behavior almost always whenever you have temp swings, especially more than a few degrees, 5-6 degrees. They're going to feel that. When it's 100, then it's 90, they're going to know. Or when it's 100, then it's 80, they're definitely going to know. And there's usually going to be a change in their behavior because the bait fish is very temperature sensitive, light sensitive, stuff like that. So the fish are going to move with that. Also, like I said, I think the barometric pressure plays a big difference. None of this is like I'm saying like 100% proven science that I know, but it's my opinion based on articles I read, videos I've watched, and my own 30 years experience of fishing. Doesn't mean it's right, but it's just things that I've kind of like noticed, like, hey, in darker water, I'm going to use darker colors. I'm going to use blacks and browns or purples. In stained water, I'm going to use not chartreuse, but I'm going to use like Colorado blade spinner baits over a willow. I'm going to use a crankbait with a wider wobble instead of a tighter wobble. So instead of a Rapala, I'm probably going to use an Ishmonroe Biggie or a Strike King. There are times, believe it or not, when I would actually prefer a Strike King crankbait, a KVD Strike King crankbait, over an Ishmonroe Biggie Papa, because the wobble of each crankbait is different. And so dirty water, more wobble. Clean water, less wobble. Winter, less wobble. Cold water, less wobble. Warm water, more wobble. So there's like some common tropes, and you can kind of look at it cross-platform too. Like, so if I'm going to use a Colorado blade in dirty water because it's throwing off more vibration, well, then I'm going to want a crankbait that has more wobble, throws off more vibration. If I'm going to worm fish, I'm going to want a worm with a curly tail, or I'm going to want a lure with appendages that gives off more vibration. If I'm throwing a jig, I'm probably going to use a trailer, maybe a little bigger, or something with some nice flappy arms, more vibration. If I'm in clear water, I might use a straight tail worm, right? Less. So there's all these like things that maybe you guys all know. I don't know. So how do I know what you do or don't know? So what I try to do is just give, as not a bunch of tips, because if you just diarrhea tips left and right, it's hard to digest. And then not all of them usually will fit for that given moment. So you get too excited to share too much information. There's kind of a balance. Um, so, but yeah, that's kind of a recap of tonight, in general, talking about water columns, shallow, medium, deep, dirty, clean, where these fish will stack up, and kind of, what lures and speeds and techniques to catch them, so to speak, or at least pay attention to that stuff so that if you're not, you can adjust. If you're fishing a few hours and you've been throwing a deep diving crankbait, maybe you should try you need to know, okay, for one, you shouldn't have fished that lure probably for a few hours straight. Or if you did, you should have made sure you threw it on different structure and terrain. Did you throw it on main lake points, deep rock, shallow stuff, drop offs, edges, secondary points, coves? Did you try it in different areas? And then did you try it fast? Did you try it slow? Did you try it medium? Or did you try it with stop and goes or jerks and pauses? All of that can make a difference. Literally, I've been fishing where I fished for 4 or 5 hours with a square bill. And as soon as I started slowing down, I would just murder it. And I know it was because if as soon as I started speeding up, couldn't get bit. As soon as I slowed down, boom. Have I fished Millerton? You know what? I have not. I do not believe so. If that's the one that's in Fresno, I think, up by like one of the casinos, I need to fish that lake. I've been kind of shied away from it because a lot of my friends have talked smack about it, and it's known as just like a dinky little like spotted bass lake. But so is McClure. McClure is known as a dinky little spotted bass lake, but look at me and my buddies have got multiple double digits out of McClure. So McClure's got monster bass. I'd assume Millerton's probably similar, honestly. Especially when a lake gets a crappy name for so long and nobody fishes it, it gets to a point where even if it was a crappy lake, it probably isn't anymore if it's been left alone. But with this drought, a lot of fishermen are going to new places. So, like wherever has water, people are going. Lots of lakes are closing down, ramps are shutting down. By October, basically, all the lakes are going to be, shut down. Best thing we can do is go fish the Delta right now. So that's kind of why I've been focused on the Delta because I know it's coming. I can go fish the lakes, but I got to fish them consistently for a while and I'll get on them. But and there's a couple of the ones that I like, right, that are right here close that I could go do. But that's why I kind of want to focus on the Delta for now, hone in on that, get really good, finish out the year there, and then get my boat taken care of and fixed up for the tournament track. Or as my goals next year is going to be tournament fishing, bring you guys along with that, and then maybe 2 different circuits, Future Pro Tour, BBT, something like that, maybe SenCal Elite. And then I want to also branch out. I want to do some deep sea fishing, some shore fishing. I want to do just some oddball fishing stuff that is not quite what I've been doing, let's say. And also want to go to new places. And one of those really big things that I want to do is smallmouth fish next year in the High Sierra Lakes. So I've got some lofty goals next year. I just got to close out this year financially okay and bide my time and take care of all my business, dot my I's and, cross my T's, so to speak, and be prepared for next year. And then hopefully we're going to have some cool stuff for you guys. Hopefully you'll get to come along a ride and, see a tournament trail and maybe go for Angler of the Year and try to get into the Classic, hopefully just win one, out of however many. Just all I want to do is just at least win one or place, 1 through 3rd in one of them. And trust me, it can be pretty hard. I've been rusty on the tournament series. So, I've just been doing a lot of fun fishing. So I got to get back into that groove. And I'll take you guys along with me for the whole ride. And, yeah, I'll be blasting my pre-fish and my tournament videos, but they're all going to be timed to come out after my tournaments. So I might set you guys some little screwballs by fishing one place and then putting the video out, you know, in different orders to where my tournaments, like, so that way I don't blow my spots up and stuff for the guys I'll be fishing against. But because that would just suck. I with my 90 horsepower and I did go and smash them at a lake, and then next thing you know, it's one of my own subscribers sitting on my spot like, hey, oh, we seen you killing it. Oh, you're in this tournament too? Damn. So we'll see how that goes though. All right, almost over for tonight. Think I'm gonna get off a little early. I just want to make sure I got on at least. So we got 3 people hanging out. I don't know which 3 you guys are, but to the 3 people, the tres amigos, thank you guys for hanging out, for watching Common Sense Fishing. I really appreciate you guys. So I'm going to give you a few minutes. If you have any last questions, any tips that you would like specific information about, or just any subjects you guys want to go over, feel free. The floor is yours. I'll give you guys 5 minutes. I'm going to eat my food right here, and we're going to wait. Or I'll give you a few minutes. If I don't see any questions here soon, I'm going to go ahead and get off here, and we'll have a good night. Tostado. All right. Well, give you another minute or two if you're typing. Otherwise, thank you guys and gals for hanging out tonight, for bearing with me, and for understanding. I've been going through some issues with the dog and with everything else, and I've been working my butt off. But hey, I don't think I'm going to be missing too much more. And if I do, I'll make them up to you. But it should be a little bit more smoother sailing from here until at least next summer. I'll be busy in the winter, and I'm still going to be working here and there with my heating and air and doing stuff. But I'm going to have a lot more time to do better stuff for you guys and gals. So thanks, Mike, and we'll see you guys Friday. And anybody local, if you're interested, I will be at the flea market on Saturday setting a booth up, and I'm going to have some of my items here to hopefully, sell to pay for the dog's cancer surgery if we're going to do that, or at least to help, buy some medicine to take care of her for the last 6 months or however much she's got left. So I've got a lot of Niner gear, San Francisco Giant stuff, but I've got a ton of stuff from other teams. So everything I've got is, authenticated and stuff. So if you guys are interested, I'm going to be there Saturday. I'll probably put a post on Facebook. So good night, everybody. Thank you guys for hanging out and watching, and we'll see you guys on Friday. So happy hump day. Be safe and have a good time, and we'll see you guys on Friday. Good night.